Rahm and Kyle Porter from the Content Cabinet as we look forward to the U.S. Open. And Kyle, this is one of those tournaments and majors that can kind of change someone's resume. And let's look at a few of these guys here, starting with Brooks Koepka. We know he missed the cut in South Carolina, said he's refocused now heading here. He's won this tournament 2017 and 2018 back-to-back years. What can a win for him at Torrey Pines mean?
Yeah, it's a big week for Koepka. Obviously, he won at Erin Hills in 17 and then Shinnecock in 2018. And if he wins this week, he ties Tiger Woods and Hale Irwin with 3 U.S. Open victories. Only at that point would Jack Nicklaus and Ben Hogan with 4 have more U.S. Opens since World War II. So we're talking about some really illustrious company that Brooks Koepka could join at the age of 31. He's got a lot of shots at this over the next probably decade, as long as he's able to stay healthy. But to join a group of Tiger and Hale Irwin with 3 U.S. Opens, and then potentially even look at Jack and Ben Hogan with 4. That's rarefied air. So I really think Koepka has a lot on the table this week as he takes aim for his 3rd U.S. Open in the last 5 years.
What makes it interesting as well, Bryson DeChambeau, he's mentioned before, that rivalry that will be rekindled there this week as we head there. If we're talking about the U.S. Open, 29 tries from Phil Mickelson and not a single victory. It's been a long career. That's the one tournament that's avoided him for the career Grand Slam. Is this all we're thinking about here for Lefty if we're heading into this week?
Yeah, I think legacy-wise, you know, what else is left? Obviously, he wins the PGA Championship at age 50, and that adds to it. And I guess if you win another Masters, that would add to it as well. But now, if he wins this to get to 7 majors and complete that career slam, not only are we talking about him as one of the 10 greatest players of all time, I think we might be talking about him as one of the 5, 6, 7 greatest players of all time. So, I mean, as improbable as this PGA Championship was to go back-to-back in terms of major championships in this era at his age, specifically at the U.S. Open, where he's had so much close futility over the years, would be, honestly, it would be one of the great sports stories of the last probably 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, if you didn't know it, by the way, Kyle, he won the PGA Championship. So I'm aware of that as well, as he's been reminding us there. Jon Rahm, another guy that is looking towards his tournament as well. Good news for him. He tweeted he's cleared to play at Torrey Pines with the Rambo kind of gift there not too long ago. Of course, that positive test coming from Memorial. But if we're backtracking here, this was where he won his first PGA Tour title back in 2017 with the Farmers Insurance Open. How does that help him maybe looking towards this one based on what you've seen as well?
Yeah, he's had a lot of success at Torrey Pines. I think that is meaningful. I think it's more meaningful that he's playing really great golf right now in 2021, coming off obviously those 3 rounds at Memorial where he was, I think, 21, 22 strokes better than the field average just through 54 holes. That's an astonishing number. And you take that into a U.S. Open, I think Rahm is somebody you could argue is maybe the most talented player in golf history that hasn't won a major championship. You could throw a couple other guys in there probably as well, but we're kind of getting to the point of his career where it's like, okay, Jon Rahm needs to, if not win one, at least contend for a major. He hasn't truly contended on a weekend or at least on a Sunday over the course of his career at a major championship. So I think everything kind of sets up nicely for him to do that, and maybe not to win it, but to at least get in contention on Sunday at Torrey Pines.
I remember the last time we saw him, he was up there with the leaders, of course, on Saturday at Memorial. Can he get back to that? Do you expect him to at least get close to it, or could he have like a downfall from that?
No, I think so. I don't know that his, being kind of ejected or withdrawing from that tournament and going into isolation, I don't think that negates what he's been doing. I mean, if you look at his kind of advanced analytics for the entirety of 2021, they're really good. He's #1 in the world in terms of strokes gained overall per round for 2021. It hasn't resulted in a win, which is why he hasn't truly been in the conversation that you and I have been having all year. But I think it's going to at some point. It's a statistical probability that it will result in a win at some point along the way. And hopefully for him, it's this week at the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines.
You're talking about the numbers. The numbers have been pretty good for Collin Morikawa as well this year. He won the WGC back in February, finished 2nd at the Memorial. Coming in with a little momentum here, but he has a chance to join some rare company.
Yeah, he really does. You know, this is his 50th PGA Tour event, which is a significant number because he's won 4 of them, and this would be number 5 if he wins it. He's lost in 2 playoffs as well, which is kind of crazy to think about. But to win 5 times and 2 major championships in your first 50 PGA Tour events, it just doesn't happen. There's not a ton of historical precedent for it. I went back and looked at Tiger Woods' first 50 PGA Tour events. Now, Tiger's a little unfair because he was playing in events when he was like 15 and 16 years old. But in his first 50 events, Tiger won 7 times. He only had 1 major championship. So for Morikawa to grab 2 of his first 50 PGA Tour starts would be it would be pretty incredible. And honestly, he's another guy that I think has a ton at stake in terms of the way that we think about him if he were to potentially win the U.S. Open.
Yeah, one of those guys that you mentioned there, that when you see him on the course, he could be a top 5 player on any given day, especially heading into the weekend. Scout Porter, appreciate as always, tapping on everything the greens as we get closer to the U.S. Open. Of course, you can listen to Cal, the First Cut podcast, and the fellas as well, breaking it down the closer we get. You just mentioned there, Collin Morikawa, one of those names you want to talk about. Phil Mickelson, yes, he won the PGA, but the U.S. Open, that's the one that has avoided him. Fellas would break all that down, download, and give them a follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.